Good morning, everybody. Jack Gleason with StartupTrading.com. ETA is 9:20 here on the 25th. 10 minutes still open. Wow. Change of pace for the first time in a while. We've had some pretty clean shorts in the indexes and complete targets. So yesterday, uh, spot on. I mean, I guess I could have held my short a little longer than I did, but um, we were inside of going into the open, this 50% retracement short is very clear 50% retracement short. And then if we get rid of the extended session, the one I actually entered, um, there was like two different ones here. It was the halfway back short for the day, I believe. That 930 high to low. So I drew the full 50% retracement from what was the all-time high on Monday, and then the halfway back short from the what was at the time Tuesday's high to Tuesday's low, and that traded literally um, right at 9:30, and we puked. We spent just a lot of time moving slow down here, and then as soon as we lost these support levels, it was just straight down all the way to negative 61s, and then today we're actually at negative 100s of this draw. We're actually at negative 100s. There was also in the overnight session, um, the 50% retracement from Wednesday's high to Wednesday's low traded here. And then we've rotated all the way down to that negative 23% profit target. So we ran up to this 50%. This is like textbook halfway backs to targets. Therefore, in sequence, the next measured move would just be that overnight high to low. And that's going to give us a 24,667 as our next resistance. Am going to want to pay attention to, again, the full traditional from Wednesday's high to low. We could rally as high as that. That would be just at the close to the gap fill, 24,727, and I'm gonna mark that up. That's gonna be my premium level here for the day. Oops, activate 24,727. I would not consider any longs above that, and really, I wouldn't consider any longs above the 24,667. Now, we are at a potential support level. And this very well could be the entry into uh, the next new all-time high for all we know. Um, but the momentum has been lowered. This is the extension, the 50% retracement of the highs of July 31st to the current. I'm going to actually throw back on this old negative 23 to the current all-time high. This completed profit targets last week, pushed through them. That high to high, the overnight lows in combination of really all profit targets on the short side being hit, as well as that level. So we're going to pay attention to that. I don't know, this first test, we could spend some time accumulating below this and we'll keep an eye on it. The 61 is quite a bit of ways away down at 24,443, but really we would need to confirm at least with a break of the halfway back short from the overnight high to low to get moving. We would really need to confirm that halfway back. Okay? And if we did, then we could consider this support depth traded. We'll probably get a second test, but we are on currently where we're positioned going to the open. We can revert to the mean, but the question I have to ask myself as I go into these days, do I want to be aggressive on my longs yet? And that answer is no. That answer is no. Yesterday, I'll show you guys. We had more of a two-sided trade in the afternoon, but what this two-sided trade came from yesterday was a trend break. There was the halfway back short from open. We've had this 2 days in a row now. The halfway back short from open in the NASDAQ blows through a negative 100 into an extension, the extension trades and then breaks. As soon as that extension broke, then we had a counter trend trade. Okay, but it was only after the break. Only after the break, only after some significant, we had a negative 100 completion, inverse fair value gap, extension break, traditional. There was multiple levels of confirmation and potential entries into the trend. So that's what I'd be looking for here again today. We are opening up down 162 points. And despite being at a potential support level, which is kind of irrelevant to me at this point, I'm just going to be leaning on the short side. So once we open, there is a whole separate sequence here, the regular trading hours sequence, which was yesterday's opening high to the opening low. That was aggressively front run. That high from what is going to be 135 to whatever the low is during the regular trading hours will also be a potential resistance level we're going to want to pay attention to. And when that plots out, I'll let you guys know. Now there is a equivalent ES extension here from the July 31st high to what is the all-time high. Now we're not really close to that 50. We're at the 38% retracement. And Perry was talking about us targeting this low, I believe the bears targeting the low on the 17th, that swing low. Well, that's going to line up perfectly with this 50. So I think when and if we, well, when, not if, we will eventually trade there, whether it's on this leg or another leg. When we trade down into the 66.15s in the ES, I have a pretty good confidence, pretty high confidence that we're going to get a significant bounce off that level. Now, the ES yesterday, we were coming into this full 50% retracement short. Blue line, midpoint. Okay, that's another thing we're going to want to watch. Are we closing the daily above the midpoint? And until we really do, this trend is not technically reversed. The midpoint today is all the way up at 6701. So we would need to close above 6701, which I think there's a small chance in hell we do today, to really make me confirm that we have stuck a low and are reversing. So we come out of that, we complete targets yesterday, we go into the next measured move. Now, once again, during the regular trading hours, different sequence. It was this next traditional. We traded it once. We never broke the short sequence like we did in the NASDAQ. We had this traditional. That traditional runs to a negative 100. That next traditional trades. We sell off. We come back to it in the end of the day. And then in the overnight session, different rules, different setups, right? We trade that full 50% retracement short again. Midpoint for the day, blue line, come down, complete targets. So what I'm going to be watching here, two things. One, let's watch the full halfway back short from yesterday's high to low. I think we could get all the way up there and get rejected. That is going to be a 66.91. 66.91, and that is going to be my premium level for the day. Anything above there, I would not even consider taking long. And I mean, realistically, that is a blind limit short in my opinion. And then the more aggressive series here, we will know once we open. Once we open, I will have the more aggressive series for you guys, which is going to be that 130 high to low. That's the most aggressive resistance. Otherwise, I do think, if we, especially if the lower we push here, if we can exhaust maybe down into 66.40s, I would be willing to trade from the long side, but still understanding that the longs are counter trend here. The longs are counter trend here until we can get a daily close above the midpoint. A daily close above the midpoint. That could be today, could be tomorrow, could be next week. We don't know. We're only going to know when it happens. Moving on to oil and gold, which oil was the outlier yesterday. And okay, that is in the right screen. I want to see a move in CL back down to this extension that was actually trading. We traded it yesterday here, ran all the way to its negative 100. If we make a new high in CL, I'll begin drawing extensions from this high, but at this point in time, that's broken. I do think oil's going to make its way down to the midpoint of the prior days, the 38% retracement of my extension, of my extension. I'm going to move these alerts up. 64.15s and 63.68. Okay, those are your levels of interest, and I mean, if we could get a full halfway back short here, this is a little sloppy. There's like no clear sequence out of this high. It's like that old halfway back was sold into 64.67s. If we get up to 64.67s, I'll consider potentially taking a short. And then as far as gold goes, kind of sold myself into a hole here, but we traded a beautiful halfway back short in gold here. Beautiful 50% has been short into the gold open. We get slammed as hourly candles, 26 points. And then we trade the full halfway back short just now from that overnight high. Downside targets are 37.32. And for the first time in a long time, gold is actually set up in a pretty clean and clear short. And I would not be surprised to see this rotate back down into the extension from August 8th to high. And the 50% would be a 36.79, and the 38 would be a 37.14 roughly area. So I got some old alerts here. I'm gonna move that up to 37.15, just kind of front running that level. And then 37.79 is the level. So I'm gonna put it a couple points ahead of that. There we go. And that is going to be my conclusion here for these commodity markets, which I am short gold right now. And I would be willing to get short oil if it trades, or long oil. Oil is a two-sided market for me right now, not strictly one bias. All right, let's move over back to our indexes. We have opened up here, officially down 36 points in the ES and 186 in the NASDAQ. And now I'm going to get rid of the extended session. Now you're going to have that next traditional. You're going to be able to draw that. So it's going to be the high from 135 to low. Let's assume that, it's going to, I don't know if this first 5 minutes is going to be the low, but that is the setup right at the negative 61 of yesterday's short here. Ugh. Gold kind of rolling over. And we're still pressing lower. Now, if we just have these fat candles and open and just run down in the first, call it 15 minutes, we very well could be setting up that multi-sigma move that Perry is referring to, or we're due for, as he said. And if we're due for that, then the sequences from the prior day are completely going to get blown out. The first step or evidence of that would us be holding the extension from 12 o'clock's low. The first piece of evidence that we're just going to continue to get absolutely annihilated here today in the indexes would be yesterday's low, and pick a market because you're not going to want to trade both, but it would be shorting the extension. This is the most aggressive you're going to want to get and still be considered a valid setup, and it's going to be probably at its 38. So if we're going to go straight down, it's going to be inside of extensions from the prior day's low. And I'll just try to draw I mean, it's a lot of adjusting and drawing. With every new low, that draw is going to go lower in both of these markets. I'm going to switch down to some smaller time frames. And I'll just continue to adjust the draw to new lows. And everything below that could just be a cliff. The lighting, I know the lighting on my face is like horrible. Let's see. It's because I have a bunch of windows in front of me. Crushed. I mean, and this is like a risk-off scenario. Um, Gold is going to get that move down too. Gold's just further back in its entry, is the way I see it. Wow, awesome job, Nate. Sometimes overnights, especially when we're moving like this, overnight is a great market to trade. It's just clean, clean. I mean, look, we gap down almost 40 points in the ES and almost 200 in the NQ. This, I've seen many a days where the move overnight is bigger than the move intraday. You wake up and you're like, what happened? Everything happened overnight. Everything happened overnight. So I am just short gold here. That's all I'm in right now. Not that I don't even, my confidence is pretty high on this, especially with the indexes getting crushed and the higher time frame setup. Uh, Not that I think it's like my entry is actually kind of trash, but my confidence in the trend is high. Downside targets are all the way at 37.32. And that would be the first significant target. Um, I think gold on this pullback, if it's a proper pullback, it's 100 points lower from here. We've gone straight up in gold for quite some time. I mean, look at this daily chart. We broke out of a massive wedge, and we've basically been rallying since late August. So a month. The last really big swing low is August 20th, and we've been going straight up since August 20th in GC. One of the things, let me show you, and this is a diagram I look at, and this is a 15-minute chart, a 5-minute chart, and a hourly chart. And if we are below the fair value gap, which is -1 here, -1 here, and -1 here, you probably don't want to be trading long. We're below the fair value gap on every single one of these time frames. What does that tell me? It tells me we're bearish. This is just a different way of looking at the same thing. This is copper. GC. But like, okay, give me like a ticker. So like NQ right now, it's gonna be negative, negative, negative. It's also that I also have my oscillator on here, and this is what I'm gonna be, like I said, I'm gonna be going over. I'm gonna be doing a course here soon, like a live boot camp course. Haven't done one in a while, so if you're interested, shoot me a DM. But -5, hardest reading lower. -5 on the 30-minute, hardest reading lower. -5, NASDAQ, hardest reading lower. Okay, we're negative. Do not go long. I don't care what your support level looks like. Even if the trade, even if you're right, Okay, we just went straight down. We're down 100 off the open. We're down 120 off the open in the Nasdaq. We are below the fair value gaps in every single time frame. We are below VWAP, below leg starts, below swing marks, below PSAR, below ATR expansions. We are below everything. There is no indication of consistent buying targets. We don't know where the support level is. I draw those fibs. I don't know if there's anybody home. Sellers realistically have to exhaust themselves before I know where we're at, right? Sellers have to exhaust themselves. So just draw those short sequences. Like I said, the most aggressive short sequence, damn, we haven't even traded it. That becomes more and more valid with every little step we go. With every little step we go, stay away from catching this knife. The only time, the only thing you want to buy when indexes are falling are stocks you're interested in owning long term. As day traders, we're not interested in catching the bottom of the what is market. We got plenty of time to catch the move. We want to catch the move with the highest probability. We want to catch the move with the best risk reward scenarios. And that's only going to come, that high probability risk reward scenario is only going to come for the long side after you've broken the short trend. The extension short completed, would you look at extension to extension or same anchor to low? I think we'll eventually trade the prior day's low to low, but the other thing is we could be opening up. It depends on how aggressive you want to be here. We're just through the negative 61. Now this extension might only trade like in the middle of lunch. If we're gonna follow the most aggressive series, it's gonna be this morning's low. The most aggressive series, I can get rid of a couple of these old draws because they are completely irrelevant. The most aggressive series is going to be this 5 minute from the 9-10 low to low. And I mean, at this rate, you can realistically probably take that trade on the first test only, because this selling is so far very significant. Now the prior day's low to low, that 38 right now is 24,500. And like, I would front run that by a few points. I'm going to start setting limits and moving them down. Setting limits and moving them down with every, I mean, we haven't even at 38s. Okay, and the ES could realistically, we talked to that 66.11, that is 20 points below us now. Maybe that trades before we even get a pause. 66.49s in the ES. We're just going straight down. So, what anchor are you referring to, Adrian? And there goes the oil slipping down to the midpoint for the day. If we trade this, I'm not quite ready to go long that midpoint. 64.15s was a potential level of support, but I would prefer the deeper pullback at 63.90s for CL. Gold making a new low for the regular trading hours here. Overnight lows, or no, yeah, new low for the day in gold. Yesterday's low, 37.50. We're trading 55s. Another 6 points, and that is cracked. Are you referring to this overnight anchor from 310? Because that traded like right before first anchor to complete. Yeah, I would look at this series like this. Let's see here. Out of this high, traditional, traditional. I didn't analyze the series traditional. And then that looks like it becomes the first extension I see is at 6:45. Oh, okay. Gotcha. 6:45 a.m. Sometimes using the time 6:28. Is that a time or a tick? I like to use the time for the anchor just 'cause it's easier to find. Because if you're talking MMQ and I'm looking at NQ, then they're going to be the same. But this extension, it seems to be the first one. 6:45. We see it here. The 720 low. I'm on a 5-minute chart once again to the 745 low. And then it seems to be again to the 755 low. At that point, we completely lose it. Gotcha. Yeah, that's what I have drawn here. Wasn't sure if that's what you're referring to. Gotcha. Yeah, that's what I got drawn here. Um, yeah, that 38 is going to be 24,500 right now. And the 50 is 24,524s. I guess. Wow. Got an email from TopStep. It says like auto OCO brackets are now live in TopStep X. Like what? They did not have them. That's kind of funny. What do they have? Manual OCO brackets? Like it's 2025, bro. I don't even know when the bracket order was invented, but it's got to be a long time ago. I think the first bracket order I probably traded was in 10 years ago. Pump the jam, pump it up. All right. What I'm not gonna do is sell both of these 38s because I kind of see them as separate trades. So I'm gonna go to the 50 actually on these 524s. I'm gonna go 20s, 54s. Just so much volatility. Just very. I mean, if we trade off the 38s and I miss it, so be it. So be it. Here it is. So be it. I would have preferred to trade the 38 had we not sold off so darn hard. But we sold off so hard that I think it leaves room for like a little bit of a squeeze here. And I'm already pretty aggressively short gold, which is a risk off trade in itself. In this type of market conditions, this is risk off, right? Like everything kind of just starts, they don't care what it is, they sell it. Bitcoin's down, gold's down. Like what's not down today is are hogs up? Oil's down, gold, silver, Bitcoin, Nasdaq, Dow, Russell, ES, right? Everything's down. So I'm gonna look at my futures, find out what's up. Oh, VIX is up. I lied. Silver's up. Silver is up. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Bitcoin's down 5%. On my futures, but is it down from the open? All right, well, there is the fill in the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ's trading the 50% of its extension, and I am going to widen out my targets. And the ES is traded its 38. I'm glad I moved that order up. Now, if this, we're still in shorts, but we could rally at this point in time if we get a harder squeeze. If this just ends up being like, I mean, we've really extended. I would not be surprised to see a short squeeze through the open into the halfway back from. I mean, the problem is we haven't spent a lot of time down here. So that's where you can get that really hard volatility squeeze because it's just a panic low open dump ripper. But if we were to rally into the next resistance level, I'm gonna place that at the 135 high to low, and that gives me a 24,590s. Yes, I got this 1 minute chart on if I can turn. Let's get rid of the extended session. Oh, it's already off. Okay. Turn it back onto the 5 minute. Wow, what a reaction. 40 points here in just a few minutes thus far. Downside target is 24,374. So we're going to drag her down there. 374. Just a bit. And we'll see where we're at in 25 minutes. Set that old timer. Bam, baby. Wow. What'd I tell you? Beautiful. That is the speed I like to see. Now, can we get a continuation? Hallelujah. Why is it saying oh, you know what? I'm looking at the no, you know what? Natural gas is up today. That is the only I was looking at what the 20-day change and silver's up 5%. The 20-day change is where I was getting those numbers from. I forgot I made that a filter. Today's change, nat gas up 3%. You like trading longs? Trade nat gas. Trade nat gas. We're beasting. Or VIX. You want to trade longs? Trade the VIX. Man, no other room hit that trade. I'll tell you that much. That's us, boys and ladies. Just taking names. Interesting there. The Nasdaq trades at 50 and the ES does not. Just a little note. Just a little note. It's gonna put you in the leaderboard there, buddy. Oh, come on, gold. You best stay down there, brother. Don't go giving me that, none of that nonsense. Give me that target fill rally nonsense. 85 points in less than 10 minutes. I imagine if that was every day. We'd all be sitting on the beach somewhere. Gold is running into its next traditional here at 37.64s. We completed a 37.53 target and we have staged a rally right off of it. And oil, 15 tick bounce off the mid for the day. Trade 64.15 to 64.30. What in the unable to crack that low thus far. It's just like the thing about these moves is like it's so big so fast. You're like, oh, 85 points, should I just take it? We went right to the bottom of the range there, and then we just have a 1 minute candle there for probably like what is that, 50 freaking 36 points 1 minute. Like wild. It's no problem for us to go all the way back to the top and squeeze up into 24,590. And for that to be just a completely valid setup. I want to see us get sold into this 38 here. If we squeeze on these highs, it's going to be like, I'm not going to want to be sitting below that. Because we can squeeze in this volatility super aggressively. Yeah, I mean, right now my stop is right below the 61. That's 30 points for my entry. Gold coming out of its next short, a little more. the sound of frustration. It's the sound of that's the sound a trader makes. If traders lived in the wild, they'd be like, ah. The volatility. I still got my ES order at 66.54 half. Actually, no. My order is at 53.75. See if we run all the way up through. That one I'm going to want to confirm if we get all the way up there. There's a couple of variations of potential shorts. One of them would just be yesterday's swing high to low. There's like literally. So I'm going to need some confirmation if we. This is the continuation sequence. Once you break the continuation sequence, it's like, could be this, could be that. It's not as clean. Like, it could just be the next traditional, or it could be the full halfway back. We don't really know. Because once the sequence is over, you kind of got to use other pieces of information to really confirm. The next potential short setup would be the 24,590s for the NQ. The ES is still holding. 66.20. It's a 40-point target. Or no, not 40, 30. Bring this stop down. And yes. And squeeze. All right. So we've technically broken variations And I would not be surprised to see us. We're so far from the midpoint here that break of this extension, I mean, darn. That leaves a lot of potentials. Now I go over like the type of market where I'm not trading to targets. Like I was trading to targets there because we were still in sequence, but now that we've broken sequence, the that short because it did not hold, it is literally the same thing of the prior day where we had that extension break and then we set up in a traditional long like a few hours later. That is the equivalent of what we've just done. We've broken the extension, and now if there's a halfway back long from the low, the ES isn't broken, so I'm not going to draw it, but if there that is a potential entry into a reversion back up into realistically the next traditional short all the way up at 24,660. The only, I mean, this is a potential resistance, but I would not be trading these to targets. The uh 130 lows to lows. Try boosting my audio. I am gonna increase my audio. Let's see, gain. How about, is this better, Perry? Just think I turned my gain up. Let me know if that sounds any better. Because like on my screen, it shows that it's coming through pretty well, but I don't know, of course, what I sound like unless I play it back myself. But I just moved my gain all the way up. Let me know if that audio is a little bit better for you guys. Cool. Gotcha. Yeah, no, makes sense. I feel like it shouldn't be. It's definitely not just you. I think it's. I just don't. There's must be something. I have to read the manual over again because there shouldn't be a reason that it's not coming through loud. It's close to me. My gain is all the way up on my software and hardware. So it should be coming through like pretty hard. All right, we'll see if we can sweep back below this low. I am short. And once again, I'm not looking for targets anymore. This is there. We were this morning at the extension. Now we're at the traditional. Just a different level. Oh. Intel up on the day. Gold's pressing through this second test of my next measured move, so I've taken it off and I'll look for a new entry later on. Silver, however, very strong here. Just one hell of a trend in silver. Just gonna go cruising higher. There's nothing left here. We have very high and tight extensions right now in the Nasdaq from 10:07 on the 1 minute chart. Probably something similar in the ES. Well, yeah, 1006. Well, great entry there, Perry. picked up. I flipped long. Stubborn took two shots at the short, one with a great reaction, another one with basically no reaction, and um, it's about all you can do is two shots on one side of the trade, and if you take more than two shots at one side of the trade and you're wrong in all three, that's on you. Two, two stop outs is where I'm like, oh, okay. That first one, great reaction. The second one, there was nobody home. I definitely should have waited for confirmation, but we'll see if we can just continue to swing up here. And then I'm gonna play that oil reversion back to the top of the range. I do think oil can get back up towards 64.90 to 65 here. The meat of the move, of course, is when it's the hardest to take. Gold's actually rolling over here after retesting that 37.64s. I'm going to target the negative 61s of these extensions. See if we can get up there. Jay Holmes, are you referring to my long extension I have drawn in the NASDAQ? So when we have these like really aggressive moves, there's always a series. It's just sometimes found on the smaller time frame, and basically like it's really hard to see. But like 1 minute, there's a halfway back here that actually goes into an extension, that goes into a new extension, that goes into an extension here to target, here to target. This is the third same anchor new high. That's how I got it. There's always some type of series like this on the 1 minute time frame. On those, especially when I mean we basically went straight up 150 points. So you're not going to get that halfway back. That was just an exhaustive bottom. So we go up in very tiny 1 minute extensions that are almost impossible to identify unless you literally know this pattern. And it's just programs. There's just automated programs buying and I'm just riding their coattails. Of course, the further you get away from the bottom, the slower they're going to react because the value proposition is not as well, it's not as good as it was on the lows. We will get those full halfway backs at some point. What the heck? I cannot find the chat room. What is going on here? Scared me. Little divergence there. New high in the Nasdaq and nothing in the ES coming back down. All right, so I'm getting long gold here just because basically it's a failure to go lower, and we're breaking back above where we broke down from, and I'm able to just basically put my stop below this most recent low, and I think we'll get up to the midpoint possibly. I'm gonna set a timer after getting into this and see if we can follow through on gold. So I am long gold here. That's my latest trade. It's a failure to break lower. And I got levels above us at 81s and 72s. But we swept into a low in gold, and now we've been going nowhere for over an hour. And I'll show you what I did. I basically this fair value gap lower, I figured if we couldn't hold below it, we're gonna squeeze above it. It's just a failure to break lower, and then we're gonna run all the way back up into either at best case for shorts, we trade into 72s. And then, just because like I said, we held that long, or we didn't hold that long, we held the low after sweeping. We swept the low of the overnight session. We went nowhere. We got back up to resistance. We got back up a little higher, failed to go lower, and then if we can't go lower anymore, where are we going? We're going higher, right? So if we can get through these 64s, we're gonna have 72s above us, which I may just take this trade off at that 72. But that's just to explain that trade. Basically holding that prior day low. I want to see if there's a sequence there that I can. There's technically this extension. Yeah, whatever. I mean, nothing super clear and clean, but I can easily see us rotating back up to the midpoints, the 81s here. So that's where that trade came from. See if we can push up through these 67s, and then we got 72s to 81s. ATR up though now. I mean, that turned into an ATR bar, average range expansion after I got in, which is a good sign. It is 11 o'clock here. I'm going to be on for another half an hour on the mic and then keep my Zoom running. All right, starting to move here in CL. Dipped into the lower extension. So, I mean, that's just an example. We hold for 25 minutes. We break lower. We trade the lower level extensions. Trend doesn't change. It just, we wipe out some traders and we go into deeper pullbacks. I think the first extension anchor is what we traded there. Just different variations. I mean, I added into my ES because I figured we were gonna do that. Now I can defend this low, and I'm gonna move a bunch of stops up. Oil is finally moving. Gold is moving. Got a lot riding right now. Long oil, long gold, long Nasdaq, long S&P. Change of heart, change of pace. All right, it is 11:20, 10 minutes till we got things moving up. Gold, that was my last entry. And you can see we're squeezing up here now. Just a matter of we can push through 72s. That's very important. And we'll see if these. I'm just a little concerned that these indexes are going to chop around. But I'll see where they are come like 11:40, 11:35. Oil was the best bull of the prior day. And that setup here today is really the cleanest thing, I think. Oil's the cleanest market. All right, if we come out and take down these lows, I don't know. I think we're gonna be. I mean, we held that next short, did we here in the end? Yes. Let me see if we held that. No, we didn't hold it in the Nasdaq. Getting a little whippy here. I don't really have. There's no longer like a sequence read if we break this low. Then it's just observation mode during lunch in the indexes. We're not getting any continuation up here right now. So I will catch you guys in the Zoom and in the Discord channels. I'm gonna shut down the YouTube stream now.